Welcome back to the Concordia Live Facebook studio here at Concordia, day 2 of the 2018 Annual Summit. My name is Hannah Delmet. I'm the Director of Partnerships Development with Concordia, and I am joined by Tom Coburn.
Glad to be with you.
Great to have you here. Now, for those of you out there, Tom, from the waist up, is a doctor and a senator, and from the waist down, wearing cowboy boots, which we all just very appreciate here.
You bet. Very comfortable.
So Tom here is the founder of Pursuit. Tell us a little bit about what Pursuit is and its mission.
You know, as I left the Senate, what I came to realize is what we're doing is putting in jeopardy the millennial generation's future.
Okay.
And Pursuit's about educating millennials about our history, but also educating about what they can do to change the course of what's going to happen in our country, both in terms of economics, but also issues about healthcare and things that the idealistic young Americans would like to accomplish. How do you go about doing that? And facing this big wall of debt that my generation has left. So,
what is the debt number right now?
Well, the debt number is 21 trillion, but that's not the important number. The important number is the unfunded liabilities that are due over the next 50 years. And that's 144 trillion.
And we're supposed to pay for that.
Yeah, and that's $33,000 per millennial per year over the next 50 years.
On top of things like student loans, rising health care.
And so the interesting,
we don't have houses.
you raise student loan. You know, it's a big movement. Well, let's have the student loan forgive. Right. So who's going to pay that $1.7 trillion that's owed by students on federal student loans? Who's going to pay that off? You all are. The millennials are going to pay. So it's not a benefit for you to say the government should take it over because you're going to pay for it anyway, except you're going to pay at a higher cost.
Interesting. Well, that is a big number. It's a scary number.
They're scary. That's right. And that's what Pursuit's about. Virtue and integrity. Should we steal the future from our kids and grandkids? And my answer to that is no. And so we're about trying to make that movement, not only with Pursuit, but with Convention of States and also with openthebooks.com, which exposes all this waste that's going on every year in the country.
So Pursuit's ambition then is to inform the public so that we become more active? Are there steps we can take?
Sure. Well, informing the millennials about what are the real numbers, what are the real facts, what's going to happen to you with the numbers that are there today, and how do we change that so that that's not debilitating to a generation of Americans? And what that's going to require is sacrifice on people my age. And so what I'm calling for is let's bring this 85 million millennials and have a march in lockstep to say we want you to be responsible, all of you ahead of us. Jefferson talked about it. One generation should never leave the next generation in debt. Because if you do, then the dead are controlling your future. And so this is about making a change so that we empower, but also utilize the power of the millennials to actually change things. They want to change things. They have great hearts. Their ideals are great, but the way you change it is you have to recognize what is the real problem and how do you change it. So you can't just say what's the symptom, what's the disease, and how do we treat the disease.
Okay. I appreciate that you put it in those terms as a former practitioner of medical. So you'll be speaking on our plenary stage later today about the inheritor generation to that regard.
Right.
So one thing that I do think is true about millennials, I don't know if it's unique to millennials, but I think it's certainly true, is that we're quite active, we're motivated, we're doing things. And so as a former politician, can you provide any advice for those active and looking to get into politics? What did you learn?
Yeah, I think, my observation of my 16 years, 6 in the House and 10 in the Senate, is there's a lot of good people up there, but they're conflicted.
Okay.
So what I do when I look, I've voted for Democrats and Republicans. I'm a conservative Republican, but I vote for the person because I'm looking for somebody with integrity and somebody that's not afraid to take on an issue, even though it may not be popular, it's the right thing to do. So what I see in our populace today is we vote for party rather than for principle. And so I kind of characterize myself, my service as being one is I'll take a tough vote, even though my district might or my state might not agree with it, but they trust me to do that because they know by my track record that I'm actually going to do the right thing. So my advice to millennials is look at their track record, what they say and what they do, because Republicans typically say, oh, well, we'll cut the spending. Except under every Republican administration in the last 30 years, spending has grown. So how'd that happen? Here's their mantra, but here's what actually happened. So and same thing with progressive Democrats. Here's what we say we're going to do, but they don't. So it's the rare individuals where we get statespeople, stateswomen and statesmen who actually go there with the purpose to follow their oath. Here's the oath that somebody takes in Congress. It never mentions your state.
Really?
Right. There's no mention of your state.
Interesting.
Because your oath is to make the best decisions for the country as a whole, not for the parochial interests that you happen to represent. So most people don't understand that, and so that neither do the members of Congress. And so therefore they habitually spend more money. It's easy to spend somebody else's money. If it was their money, they wouldn't be spending it.
Well, it's a key issue in the upcoming election. So with today being National Get Out the Vote Day, make sure you're registered for the next election, and according to Tom, follow voters or vote for those with integrity who you can at least understand what they'll be doing.
Yeah, and what they say is somebody that's doing what they said they would do.
Yeah.
That's the key.
There we go. All right, well, thank you so much for spending time with
Pleasure.
us today.
Great to do it.
Enjoy the summit.
I will.
All right.